Alrighty, so how about this? A little throwback in terms of me used to do the review right after when the final Saturday game is finished, and that, I don't do it anymore mainly because, usually when I do these reviews, it's going to be relatively late at night, basically writing the boards and then basically talking about the action. But because of the fact that I was able to finish the board right after the final game finished, well, actually, right before the final game finished between Vancouver and Austin, I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's actually do the first part of the review, looking at the first 8 games of match week number 11. And there were definitely some surprises and some teams that desperately need to get a win. Not exactly that. And then there's also teams that desperately need a win and get exactly that. But that being said, let us begin with talk about the first game. And by the way, happy Star Wars Day and also happy Cinco de Mayo Day, because most likely when this video is uploaded, it's gonna be Cinco de Mayo Day. That is the case. But the first game we're gonna talk about is Atlanta versus Minnesota, and I swear to God, Minnesota, they cannot make it easy on themselves, can they? I mean, it literally feels like it's a very Minnesota United tradition that they have to make games intense for no reason whatsoever. And while this game looked like it was comfortable for this team for 75 minutes or so, yeah, that last 10 minutes, boy, oh boy, my hands were definitely sweating, and I thought Minnesota was gonna definitely blow it in this one against Atlanta. Now, early on in the first half, unsurprisingly, Atlanta had most of the possession as Minnesota elected to sit back. I mean, everybody saw this coming, knowing the fact that, the Loons were very successful sitting back against Charlotte on the road, and that's kind of the philosophy that Eric Ramsey maybe is taking of a team, trying to sit back and trying to hit on the counter, and they definitely have guys that are able to do so. It was no surprise that that was going to be the tactics in this game, and yet, Atlanta still kind of had most of the possession throughout this game. Oluwaseyi with it then puts it high from long range before Lud did puts it wide from long range. Now there is a bit concerned that Lud did get subbed off at halftime, and let's just hope maybe that's just a precautionary reason. Keep in mind, Minnesota is not going to be playing another regular season game until the middle of the week against the Galaxy, which is kind of interesting because that's a game I'm actually going to be going at Allianz Field. But yeah, you wonder, whether or not if that there is maybe a knock that Robin Lod basically picked up throughout this game, because he definitely wasn't really quite himself throughout this game, and I think maybe the coaching set saw that, and that, yeah, they decided to pull him. Let's just hope it's nothing serious, because this would be devastating if Robin Lod does suffer a bit of an injury, because he's been the keystone to this team. He's almost like the Reynoso replacement for this team. But in the 10th minute, the first shot for Orlando did see Lobjanidze puts it way wide on the volley. Arriaga then puts it high from long range, and despite the fact that Atlanta has a lot of possession, I don't know why I wrote a lot of chances. It was more like a lot of possession. The shots were 6-1 in favor of the Loons up to this point, but there was only one shot on goal up to this point. Lobjanidze was in on goal there, but he completely fluffed his lines as the flag went up. It's probably very fortunate that the flag went up, because that was not a great moment there from Saba Lobjanidze going in on goal and just completely made a mess out of that. Doesn't show that composure to finish it. Olo Ashrayi then hits one right to Guzan after Abram and Guzan kind of collide each other, and somehow, in some way, despite the fact that Guzan was on his floor, he was still able to save that shot, though, part of that is because of the fact that Tani kind of hit it right to Guzan, and that's definitely one that Tani would love to have back. I mean, that probably should have been 1-0 in favor of Minnesota because of a calamity of error for Atlanta at the back. But then in the 37th minute, we thought we got the opening goal of this game as Yakimak is basically in the right place, right time to hit that point blank effort. He was absolutely robbed by Dane Sinclair in this one. And the back post defending from the Loons, I thought early on, was a problem in this game. There was a couple of times where Atlanta had some chances in the back post, and that I thought the Loons need to be better dealing with that. They did get better as the game goes along, and we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Guzan denied Sunbin in the near post. Sunbin, of course, making his return in this game. I thought he had a good game in this one. And in the 52nd minute, Minnesota takes the lead. It's Parveen Arriaga. He scored from Rosales to make it 1-0 in favor of Minnesota. I didn't know that Josep Rosales, it could be a great set piece deliver. I mean, that's something that I was not expecting, but obviously, he kind of had to step up in that role because Robin Lod was out of this game by then. But also, that was just pretty poor defending there from Atlanta. I mean, yeah, Arriaga just completely left on mark there. That is definitely suspecting defending there for Atlanta on the set piece. Atlanta continued had lots of possession, but they look really stagnated and also so slow and Farco. Where have I heard about that from Atlanta United? Oh yeah, that's right. That's kind of majority of the problem that this team has had for the past couple of seasons, and it feels like it's rearing its ugly head again in these last couple of games. And to make it worse, in the 60th minute, Minnesota make it 2-0. And guess who? It's that guy again, Taniolo Shrai. He just cannot stop scoring goal right now. I mean, he's on a run where I think between this run and the Mason Toy run that we saw a couple of years ago, yeah, I mean this has just been an incredible run by this young kid. But yeah, he scored here to make it 2-0 in favor of Minnesota, and really it was kind of a gift too because it was a terrible turnover from Atlanta. It plays right to Olo Oshai, and yeah, that's probably the last guy you want to give the ball away in a bad spot. Considering he's been red hot in the last couple of games. In the 65th minute, Rios did try to answer, but he hits it right to Dane Sinclair, and then Abram would puts it wide from close. Then Lobjanidze would pulls it wide from long range, and then Yakimakis would puts it wide in the 76th minute. Atlanta definitely started to threaten, and this is where I started to get worried with Minnesota. And I know some fans will admit it, or at least some Loons fan base will admit it, but there's been times I'm started seeing kind of row heave mode started to appear for this team because yeah, it feels like the team is kind of holding on for dear life a little bit, and as we've seen in the past, that has not worked out whatsoever for this team. Rios with that headset high from the set piece, and again, I even wrote this is where Minnesota got to be careful because if they give Atlanta one go back into this game, the momentum is going to be all with the five stripe. That's what happened. They did give up that goal to Atlanta. And Sabalov Kanidze would score from Rios to make it 2-1 in this one. And then the post would deny Yakimakis on a flick header, and this is when my palms was really sweating because I was really nervous that Minnesota was going to to do what I've seen multiple times under Adrian Heath, blowing leads late in the game just because they just kind of bunker her in and play that row Heath Mo style. In fact, in the 8th minute of stoppage time, when Amada, of course, got a free kick after just a silly foul there from DJ Taylor, just kind of put a bit of a shove that was so unnecessary on an Atlanta player. I thought that was the moment where Minnesota was gonna blow the leads because we know how good Amada is on the free kick. But fortunately for Minnesota, Amada hasn't really kind of been feeling himself in the last couple of games, and really this season too. He hasn't really been off to a good start this year, and he hit this one right to Dane Sinclair on the free kick, and that was a huge lead because that was the full time whistle up to this point. Minnesota survived. They win 2-1 in this one, and the shots in this one, 20 shots for the 12 that Minnesota had. Most of those 20 shots for Atlanta came late in this one, but only 4 of them was on goal compared to the 5 that Minnesota has. 2 shots off target for the 6 that Atlanta had, 6 shots that was blocked for the 5 that Minnesota has, and possession wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that Minnesota has in this one. And this is now 3 straight win for this Minnesota United team. They were momentarily at first place in the Western Conference. Obviously, that's not the case anymore since RSL got the win against Sporting KC to move back into first place. But hey, I know it hasn't been pretty in these last couple of games, but considering the fact that this team has started to win games that I've seen before under Adrian Heath that they would lose and blow leads. That is definitely very encouraging to see. And hey, as the old saying goes, it doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly the win is. A win is a win. 3 points is 3 points, and not to mention this team continued to be the road king of MLS. I mean, last season they were very good on the road last year, and it seems like it's the case once again this season. I believe now the record on the road is 4-1-1, which is the best in but for Atlanta United, yeah, again, this kind of feels very similar to last season, where I remember last year they kind of got off to a decent start in the beginning. They had that 6-1 win against Columbus, and everybody was kind of hype. Or actually, no, they lost 6-1 against Columbus. I was thinking of another resort, but they had some good run during after that, and it feels like everybody was saying, "Well, Atlanta is truly back." and we kind of saw that hype when they were playing a couple of home games and winning a couple of home games, and everybody was saying Atlanta is back, and those three words are probably almost like curse words for this team. I mean, every time when we fall Atlanta is back, they stagnate and look like a team that still doesn't look like anything that they were in the first two seasons. And I think it's getting to a point where it's hard to believe that they could sustain that for a long term, and we maybe see just a spell of that. And I think if you say that to this Atlanta United fan base, that's clearly not enough, and especially with this fan base have high expectation, not only with the way that this team perform, but also how they perform throughout the season. But that being said, moving on in the next match is Charlotte versus the Portland Timbers. So coming into this game, I mentioned both of these teams desperately need wins because both of these teams has been kind of slipping lately. And in the end, it's Charlotte that gets much needed win, getting a 2-0 win against the Timbers. Pekovic with Charlotte's first shot, but he puts it wide there. It was a good game here for Nikola Pekovic. In fact, probably his best game for Charlotte in this one. But the shots were only 1-0 for Charlotte 15 minutes in. It was a bit of a slow start in this game for both teams. Paredes would hit one right to Kalina before Pekovic would be in on goal there, but he missed high. Williamson would hit it wide from close in the 24th minute before Crepeau had to deny an Ajiman from close. Ajiman then had another chance in the 32nd minute, but he sliced it wide on the doorstep of goal, and Charlotte started to gain control of this game and started creating some chances, but the question is, can they get that opening goal? Well, Nathan Byrne tried to do so, but he puts this one high from long range, and then it looked like Charlotte won the penalty in the 45th minute. But then they go to VAR to see whether or not indeed if Tavares actually died to earn that penalty, and he did. So yeah, he got booked for simulation for that, and there was no penalty for Charlotte. By the way, this is the first time that I actually was able to hear the VAR announcement inside the stadium. And while some broadcasts I've seen that didn't really put the announcement on hand, some of them did, and let's just say it's kind of a little bit weird in terms of some of these announcements that some of these officials have made. And I can understand because obviously we see in other American sports, especially in the NFL, referee are pretty professional in terms of the announcement because they've been doing it for years. But these pro referee, this is the first time they're doing it, so it could be a little awkward in terms of how they announce what the verdict is for this. And the reason why I say that this is the first time me hearing is because since I returned from my trip to Japan, and that they first did it during the first week of my trip to Japan, I wasn't able to hear these VAR announcements. So yeah, again, I get to finally hear it, and I guess at least some of them were kind of a little bit weird and almost kind of forced, but it's understandable consider for a lot of these refs, they're still trying to get used to making in-game announcement of verdicts of VAR. With that being said, Kalina would then deny Rodriguez as he almost had a Galese moment here. Again, talk about this every single week. Goalkeepers got to stop being cute in terms of playing out of the back, and Kalina tried to do so. Almost got cost him there after he got pickpocketed by Rodriguez. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Mascara would put it wide from close, but then in the 54th minute, Nikola Pekovic would score his first career MLS goal, and well he deserved because he was giving a lot of chances to finally score break the ice, and he did here in the 54th minute. He scored from Burns to make it 1-0 in favor of Charlotte. Tavares looked for another, but he heads that one high. And then Kalina would deny Paredes from long range in the 62nd minute. Little do we know that would be one of the last chances that the Portland Timbers would get in this one. Crabo would absolutely rob Diani on the doorstep of goal. So yeah, that's one that Diani would love to have back. Pekovic would then hits the side netting, which everybody inside the stadium. I mean, everybody thought that one went in, but obviously it didn't. But there was no doubt that Charlotte was piling on the pressure. Diani would had a shot that was deflected and wide. Renan would hits the roof of the net, and then Rodriguez sends it over the bar on the free kick in the 84th minute. And this is where we saw this happen last season under Christian Latanzio. This team, when they had that 1-0 lead, unable to close out games and unable to score that killer second goal to come back to haunt them. That's a little different now under Dean Smith because in the second minute of stoppage time, finally, finally it has happened for Charlotte as Enzo Capetti finally break the drought as he call game here to make it 2-0 in favor of Charlotte. And honestly, not only it's a relief for a Charlotte FC fan to see him score a goal, I'm pretty sure it was a relief for him that he finally gets on the score sheet because, yeah, you talk about a guy that is really getting close to be labeled as a big bust signing in MLS history. Let's hope that maybe this goal, of course, will give him confidence and start getting things going. But most importantly for Charlotte, they get a much needed win in this one. They get a 2-0 win against the Timbers. The shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 6 that the Timbers had. 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that Charlotte had. 6 shots off target compared to 3 that the Timbers had. No shots off block compared to 4 that Charlotte has. And possession-wise, 47% possession compared to 53% possession that the Timbers has in this game. So like I said, big win there for Charlotte to kind of end their little dry spell that they had in the last 4 games. Remember, 1 win in 4 games for Charlotte in this stretch. But for the Timbers, the winless run continue. I mean, it's just been a after just such a promising start for Phil Neville's side, it feels like reality is start to settle in, and that again, this team desperately need helps on the defensive end. I mean, this defense has just not been good whatsoever this season, and we'll see whether they do that in the summer. With that being said, moving on in the next one is DC versus the Philadelphia Union, and this game feels like the microcosm of DC season. I mean, they have these kind of performance where it looked like things were going to do well, and then they failed to close out game. I mean, if it wasn't for Sporting KC in terms of their problem of closing out games, and also the Quakes doing pretty much the same thing, you could argue DC might be in that same conversation of just a very frustrating team to watch because they play good soccer under Troy Lesesne. They just cannot get the resort because they can't close out game, and this was another example of it. Though it did start out well for them, as in the 9th minute, Dahome would score from Stroud and Click to give DC a 1-0 lead. That was the first shot of the game as well. And that also would be the only shot of the game, at least for the first 20 minutes, as not much really happened in this one. Hario would hit it right to Bono before the post would deny Carranza on the curling shot. Hario would then hit it right to Bono as the Union was starting to be buzzing in this game. I mean, great response for them, despite going down 1-0 early as they were pressing for the equalizer. However, in the 33rd minute, Miro would get his first career MLS goal from Strout and Benteke to make it 2-0 in favor of DC, and it was completely against the run of play like that. Up to this point, it looked like the Union had it. We're building some momentum for the equalizer, and really out of nowhere, Miro get his first goal of his career in MLS to make it 2-0. Carranza did look to respond, but he missed wide from long range, and then Simley would deny Miro of his second career MLS goal in the 39th minute. But then in the 42nd minute, the Union does get a goal back. It's Bedoya scoring from Wagner to make it 2-1 in favor of DC, and they completely caught that DC team napping on the quick free kick. Like DC was not set up well defending that quick Union free kick, and great heads up play there for the Union to get that. And yeah, they got a goal back in this one. It was 2-1 in favor of DC, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. In the second half, Sullivan did try to chip Bono there, but Bono just about tipped that one over. Bono was being very aggressive in terms of way off his line, and Quinn Sullivan saw that, trying to chip it over the keeper, and he almost did. If it wasn't for Bono, just about got back and tipped that one over the bar. Not much really happened, at least in the first part of the second half, which I thought that favored DC. Though Kuti Biatro had a chance in the 72nd minute, but his shot would clear off the line by Hario, and that would be a crucial moment of this game because in the 74th minute, Jack McGlynn would pretty much score the goal of the week. I mean, I think there's probably no discussion that this is the goal of the week. I mean, it was an absolute thunder strike here from Jack McGlynn. He scored from Hario to tie the game up at 2 apiece. So yeah, Nathan Hario not only being a hero on one end, preventing the Union go down 3-1, but on the other end getting the assist too. But really, this was Jack McGlynn moment of him scoring just a wonder goal here to tie the game up at 2 apiece, and that was pretty much it. I mean, there was really not much happened for the rest of the game. This wasn't really one of the more entertaining games to watch, and a game that had a lot of chances, despite the fact that there was 4 goals in this one. As in the end, as I said, it ends in a 2-2 draw. Shots in this one, 10 shots for the 7 that DC had. Both teams had 4 shots on goal, no shots off target for the 2 that the Union has. Both teams had 3 shots on the block, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. So For the Union, they did at least stop the bleeding a little bit of getting a draw out of this one. I mean, they could have easily got three straight losses if they will lose this one, and I'm pretty sure alarm bells will definitely be ringing in the Union fan base. But for DC, again, this is just very frustrating. I mean, again, they have these good performances against good teams. They just cannot quite finish out the performance, and that's kind of the reason why they're kind of stuck in that mediocrity range right now in the standings. Though, at least if you're a DC fans, that maybe is a little bit better compared to last season when they were having a bit of a disastrous season of their own. But that being said, moving on in terms of the last match on this board, and that is Miami and the New York Red Bulls. And I kid you not, the Red Bulls actually play a pretty good game, at least in the first half. And they forgot the second half exists, or the fact that Miami definitely woke up in the second half, and boy did they woke up big in the second half. Now in the first half, as I said, I thought the Red Bulls started well in this one. They actually had most of the possession, which that was not what I expected. I thought Miami was going to dominate the possession, and the Red Bulls are just going to be like the Red Bulls. They're going to concede possession. They're going to try to press to try to win back possession. The first shot of the game did see counter denied Amaya from close range before Carmona would put it wide from long range in the ninth minute. Again, it's been a good start here from the Red Bulls as they were looking to try to get the opening goal. Wangan then had Miami's first shot, but he missed high there from the volley. Duncan would then puts one high from long range. But then in the 30th minute, after some good play from the Red Bulls, they would score as Dante Benzier would score here to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. He actually hit the post, or actually no, Carmona hit the post here, but it fall right to Dante Benzier. And Dante Benzier, I gotta say, it's been a great bounce back season that he's been having. Yes, I know he hasn't been scoring the goals that he's been asked to do. Well, at least recently he's started to score more goals than he's tallying assists. But consider how bad last season was, and just him having on and off the field controversy. This has been a good bounce back year for the Red Bulls DP. But yeah, that made it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. Presso did try to respond, but he missed wide from close range. But then the post would deny Alvarez from a Miami equalizer, and late on in the first half, Miami definitely were pushing to try to get the equalizer. But we do head to the second half with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. Again, it's crazy the fact that the turnout of this game would be completely different in the next 45 minutes because after Carmona's shot is deflected wide, Miami got the equalizer. It's Rojas scoring from Messi here to tie the game up at one apiece. So what a dream debut this was for Mateus Rojas. Not only coming off the bench in this one, but literally scoring 3 minutes into his debut. That's got to be one of the quickest amount of time for an MLS player to make his debut and literally score his first career MLS goal. But just 2 minutes later, it would be 2-1 in favor of Miami. Guess who? It's Leo Messi. He scored from Suarez to make it 2-1 in favor of Miami. That came off a terrible giveaway from the Red Bulls. And yeah, giving the ball away against this Miami tag is the last thing you want to do. And then in the 62nd minute, Rojas would score again. He scored here from Messi to make it 3-1 in favor of Miami. And this is where, oh boy, it seems like the floodgates are open and the route is definitely on in this one, and you can kind of sense that Miami was feeling it in this one. Duncan did try to respond, but he hits it right to counter. But in the 70th minute, Suarez would score. He scored from Messi to make it 4-1 in this one, and then he scored again just 5 minutes later from the same player, Messi, to make it 5-1 in this one. Frostberg did puts it wide from close range in the 76th minute. By the way, up to this point, this is when I kind of stopped taking notes because I was also watching a couple of games. I was really keeping an eye on this one and then another game that I'll talk about in just a bit. So yeah, with the way that this is starting to turn a blowout, this is kind of where I'm like, well, I'm not really going to pay too much attention to this game because pretty much Miami is running riot in this one, and that would continue as in the 81st minute they would make it 6-1 in this one as Luis Suarez would complete an 11-minute hat trick. He scored from Messi here to make it 6-1 in this one. And while I know the big attention is for Luis Suarez scoring the 11-minute hat trick, how about the GOAT himself? 5 assists in this game. That has to be a record in MLS in terms of the most assists a player has ever shot in the game. I don't recall a player got 5 assists in a single game. I mean, I know Dante Vanzier got 4 assists earlier this season, but I don't think I have seen a player getting 5 assists in a single game in this, and it's also kind of crazy the fact that Messi was involved in every single goal. Of course he is. He's the greatest player of all time, after all. We then get some pushing and shoving. As temper really started to flare because when you're losing 6-1, yeah, you know the other team is gonna be very upset about the situation. Though the Red Bulls did get the consolation goal late in the second half as they were given a penalty after Tolkien was brought down by Wenger here, and Frostberg puts that one away to make it 6-2 in this one. But yeah, in the end, Miami they pulled away in the second half, and really just kind of dropped the floodgates on the Red Bulls, winning 6-2 in this one, and not only getting a revenge against the Red Bulls after that 4-0 thrashing, but pretty much just kind of destroyed the Red Bulls in the second half. Shots in this one, 16 shots for the 15 that the Red Bulls had, 5 shots on goal for the 7 that Miami had, 6 shots off target for the 4 that Miami has, 4 shots off target for the 3 that the Red Bulls had, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that the Red Bulls has. And I argue this not only is one of the best games that Miami has played, but when this Miami team, especially that duo of Suarez and Messi, and even Rojas, if he can start get things going. If they can get going, nobody's beating this team. Like not even the best team in the league is going to be beating this team. And there's no doubt that there's a reason why a lot of people are saying that. Yep, this team is going to win score ratio and maybe even going to win MLS Cup. The MLS Cup part could be possible. I don't know about the supporter show stuff, especially once we get into the summer where, we're going to see Messi not being available for this team. And we have seen before when Messi is not available for this team has has struggled. But um yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think that they are going to make the playoffs. I think that when they do have the best player available, again, this team just look absolutely unstoppable. And that, yeah, again, I know a lot of people don't want to see this. I know a lot of people want to hope that Miami doesn't go all the way to win MLS Cup because then the nauseous kind of thing will happen, especially with all the crazy bandwagoner. But that's you can't really say anything about how when Miami was playing like that, you can't. There's nothing but just to take all in terms of that, and I think Red Bulls fan even know it too. I mean, they just ran into a juggernaut in this game. It basically will happen to any team in the league. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last 4 games to finish off this review of match week or actually the first 8 games in terms of part one. I'm not going to finish the review tonight because we're not even done in terms of match week number 11. There's still 2 more games that's going to be happening tomorrow. But at least I'm going to switch boards now and look at the last 4 games to finish part one of the review of this match week. So moving on, we got Orlando versus FC Cincinnati. So I said before that I thought this was going to be a low scoring game. Turns out that, of course, is the case with the 1-0 win that Cincinnati has. What I didn't know is that the only goal of this game would literally came 14 seconds in, or actually not 14 seconds, but 17 seconds into this game, and we would see 2 red cards in this game as well. Speaking of the 17-second goal, it was scored by Lucio Acosta, as he scored here 17 seconds in from Yedlin to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. That is actually the fastest goal that Cincinnati has ever scored in their history. But it's not the fastest goal that's been scored this season. As we know, the fastest goal that was scored this season was Duncan McGuire against Minnesota 14 seconds in. So yeah, Orlando has now involved in 2 of the fastest goals that have been scoring at their stadium. Although one, of course, was in favor of them and the other was not in favor of them. And one thing we also know is that in those 2 games that they either score or concede the fastest goals that happened this season, they both lost both of those games. But in the 5th minute, Cartiana did look to respond, but he was denied by the post. Torres then with a shot on the doorstep of goal. The shots were 4-1 for Orlando 20 minutes in, and I thought they did a good responded well after going down just a minute into this game. But unfortunately, in the 27th minute, Schlegel would get himself sent off in this one after VAR deemed that Schlegel found Kubo is deemed to not have goal score opportunity, and it is. I mean, it was pretty obvious. I mean, you could maybe blame the bad giveaway there, but Schlegel had no choice. He had to try to make the challenge. Didn't get any of the ball. So yeah, he of course is sent off in this one. Orlando was down to 10 men. Galese would then deny Acosta from long range before Miasca heads it right to Galese as Cincinnati was looking to try and take advantage of being a man up to make it 2-0. But we do head to halftime with Cincinnati leading 1-0. In the second half, Murphy clear Angulo shot off the line, and this is where we started to see why Cincinnati has had problems this season on the attack. Even when they're up a man, they've been having problem trying to score goals because they just have been very toothless on the attack throughout the season. Araujo would had a shot that was deflected and goes wide again. It was a promising start for Orlando despite being a man down. I mean, honestly, if you go down a man against Cincinnati, before it seems like it's a death sentence, it doesn't seem like that's the case with the way that this team has been struggling on the attack. Cartier thing that did fall that he got the equalizer for Orlando. The problem was the offside flag was already up. This was way before Cartier struck a beautiful goal here, so no goal here. Cincinnati was still leading 1-0. Kubo would then hits the side netting, and I just thought that with the way that with Kubo, chance was really one of the first real opportunity that Cincinnati had in the second half. Is that chance going to come back to haunt them? Because yeah, this is still up for grabs in terms of this game, even though I know Orlando has been struggling in terms of scoring. And and it also doesn't help the fact that themselves Cincinnati would get down to 10 men as well as Brett Halsey would get sent off here in this one. And yeah, this is a classic rookie mistake here, just kicking the ball away when you're already on a yellow card. I'm pretty sure Brett Halsey is going to definitely hear it from Pat Nolan. The fact that yeah, you shouldn't be doing that and shouldn't kick the ball away when you're already on a yellow card. Because anytime when you kick the ball away, it doesn't matter if you're on a yellow or not, it's going to be always an automatic yellow because the league basically emphasized that for the past couple of years. Saotano would then deny Holiday shot that was deflected before he denied Ladero from long range, and this is where I'm pretty sure if you're a Cincinnati fan, you had the same feeling as me as a Minnesota fan. Just kind of had your palm kind of being very sweaty and just almost on the edge of your seat, knowing that yeah, are you gonna hold on? Or are you gonna try to blow this game? And yeah, Orlando was definitely pressing hard to try to get the equalizer. I even said it was hard in mouth time for Cincinnati because they were praying that they can hold on to that one goal that they had. So there's 17 seconds in, and in the end, fortunate for them, they were able to hold on to that one goal that they had 17 seconds in, as that was the only goal of this game. 1-0 win in favor of Cincinnati. Shots in this one, 7 shots with the 9 that Orlando has. So, like I said, in the preview, I thought this was going to be a chance with low score and not really too much chances. Yeah, with the way that there was a combined 16 shots for both teams, that kind of sums up. 3 shots on goal for both of these teams. 1 shot's off target for the none that Orlando has. 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession Orlando has. So, despite the fact that Cincinnati hasn't been playing relatively well, still second in the Eastern Conference, and it just feels like again this is the same formula that we saw last season under Pat Nolan when they went on a good run to the start of the season. Not because they were playing pretty soccer, but they were grinding out resort, and this is another example of it. But for Orlando City, yeah, it's not going so well. And remember, when I make the video talk about head coaches and did a ranking of the hot head coach that is currently under the hottest seat, and I mentioned Oscar Pereira is definitely one of those. Yeah, that seat is getting hotter now. In fact, of all the coaches I mentioned out of that list, I think only one of them in the top five end up. Or actually, no, two of them actually did when there was actually a head coach that actually turns out to be number one that got a win in this match week that maybe will relieve his seat of being a little bit cooler, but that hot seat is definitely burning for Oscar Correa because of a disastrous season that this Orlando City has had with just so much expectation that they had this season. They've definitely been one of the more biggest underachiever this year. With that being said, moving on in the next match, the Quakes and LAFC. So again, this is probably the biggest surprising result of this week, and that again, heading into this game, as much as I know everybody would have said that LAFC probably would get an easy win against the Quakes because the Quakes are pretty much gifting 3 points like Santa Claus. One thing I will say about the Quakes in this one is the fact that if they are thinking about turning their season around, with the way that this game is at Levi Stadium, there's going to be at least 30,000 strong that is anticipating this game, and it's considered a big game, especially against a rival. This is a good opportunity for them to get that statement win to turn the season around. Guess what they did? They get that statement win. Although it wasn't really pretty whatsoever, and it definitely did not get off to a fantastic start because as I mentioned, there was a lot of empty seats in compared to last season Quakes versus LAFC match at Levi Stadium, and that's understandable considering the Quakes are not doing very well and weather was that definitely was a factor. It wasn't really that much of a factor until maybe late in the game when it was kind of drizzling a little bit. But the reason why I said it didn't get off to a good start is because the Quakes score. As in the 5th minute, Rodriguez would score from Espinoza to give the Quakes a 1-0 lead. And yeah, again, the reason why I said that this seems like it could doom the Quakes is because there is that general rule this season that if the Quakes score inside the first 5 minutes this season, you're gonna lose the game because that's kind of how the cycle is. But in all seriousness, no, I mean, this was a great set piece goal there from the Quakes. They haven't had a lot of set piece goals this season, and again, when you have a team that struggle in terms of creating goals from open play, set pieces is where it could be your best friend. With that being said, for LAFC, that was not great set piece defending. I mean, Rodriguez just getting completely left on mark in the box, and set piece defending would be a big downfall for LAFC in this game against the Quakes. Yarbrough would then deny Bawanga after just a terrible giveaway from the Quakes before Guerrezo puts it just over the bar from long range, and it. Besides that one mistake, I thought it's been a positive start for the Quakes. Ibobasi puts one right to Lloris. You can clearly see that they really care about this game. That they really want to win it in front of the 30,000 fans, which is great to see. Well, where was this when they were playing against the Galaxy on opening night? But in the 14th minute, Bawanga had a shot that was deflected and goes into the side netting, and I thought the chances would start flying on both ends. It was a very open game. Like compared to this one, it was night and day in terms of both of these games. This one didn't really have a lot of chances. This one had a lot of chances. In fact, up to that point, and I'll actually skip through here in the 27th minute. The shots were 8-6 up to this point. Like it already had like about 80% of the shots compared to this game between Orlando and Cincinnati, and we only hit 27 minutes into this game. Skahan would then puts it over the bar from close range. This was probably one of the best game for Jack Skahan. He was very active in the beginning in this one. Again, that came off of a set piece, which was a huge problem for LAFC in this one, and it would continue in this game as well. Ibovasi would then puts it just high from long range, and I know Ibovasi didn't score in this one, but this probably was also one of his best game that he has this season. Atuesta would then hits one right to Yarbrough before Ibovasi would put one pretty much back to PayPal Park. I mean, he completely mishits this one. But we do head to halftime with the Quakes leading 1-0 in this one. And in the second half, Ibovasi would puts it over the bar from long range before Bogush on the other end puts it high on the right side. But then in the 55th minute, Quakes would score again. It's Pellegrino. He scored from Espinoza to make it 2-0 in favor of the Quakes, pretty much giving LAFC a little taste of their own medicine, hitting LAFC on the transition. And then in the 60th minute, it's 3-0 in favor of the Quakes as Bawanga actually was recorded to score the own goal here, even though I feel like this goal probably should belong to either Espinoza or Rodriguez. I was hoping it would belong to Espinoza because that means that he's scoring an Olympico goal here, but I think realistically it should have been a Rodriguez goal because it looked like he got the last touch out of this one before Bawanga maybe got a slight touch of that, and that maybe kind of fooled Lloris a little bit, but on the official scoring, and unless they change it, it's listed as a Bawanga own goal. But yeah, it's 3-0 in favor of the Quakes, and I thought this is too good to be true. And I also thought that. So when is the wheel gonna fall off with this team? And I know that I shouldn't be negative when I see my team have a rare moment where they're playing very well. But again, this season, things that kind of taught me about whenever the Quakes have played well, especially on the road in some of these games, I just fear the worst. The fact that the wheels were gonna fall off. And it looked like for a bit it was going to fall off because after Lopez would put it high from long range in the 70th minute, Oliveira would score from Kamara to make it 3-1 in this one. Again, you know this is a weird game when PK Oliveira gets on the score sheet here, but yeah, that made it 3-1 in this one. This is when I thought, oh boy, yeah, I have a feeling this is when the wheels is gonna fall off, and I've seen this story before, especially the way that even though we only had 20 minutes in this game and the Quakes still hold on to a 2-goal lead. 2-goal lead for the Quakes is absolutely nothing. In the last 20 minutes, especially with the way that they were giving up goals. And as soon as Oliveira scored that goal, instant flashback of the Sporting KC versus Portland game kind of flashed to my mind that this could go bad for the Quakes very soon. Yarbrough would then deny Oliveira in the front post, and the usual low block that is implemented for Luchi Gonzalez team whenever they take the lead is happening again and again. Every time when that happens, it doesn't go so well. But then Yarbrough would deny Oliveira again from close range, and then he denied Tillman from close in the 87th minute. And I gotta say, William Yarbrough, this was probably his best game because I think he was kind of the reason why the Quakes weren't having a massive collapse again and kind of almost doing a Daniel Carey job that we saw last season as well. Bawanga would then puts it over the bar from long range. I mean, yeah, this performance by Denise Bawanga looked very similar to the early season form where it's not because of the lack of chances that Bawanga is getting. It's that he just could not put the ball into the back of the net. He's been very unlucky. Probably one of the most unluckiest number 9 in the league. Well, actually, I wouldn't say he's a number 9, but maybe one of the unluckiest goal scored this season because he just been having no luck in front of goal for most of the games, except for the last couple of games where it looks like he found his finishing touch again. But yeah, in the end, the Quakes, they pull off the upset. They win 3-1 in this one. The shots in this one, 15 shots for the 18 that LAFC had. I believe 3 shots on goal compared to 9 that LAFC has. 2 shots off target, or actually 5 shots on goal compared to 9 that LAFC had. 2 shots off target for the 1 that the Quakes had. 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that LAFC had. And possession-wise, LAFC had more of the possession, 62% possession, compared to just 38% possession that the Quakes has in this game. But yeah, again, I talk about it. They need a season-defining win to try to turn things around. This may be the one to do so, and hopefully it is because again, they dug themselves in such a deep hole. The Quakes. I don't think with how deep of a hole that they dug themselves in, unless if they do something that Sporting KC did last season, it's going to be very tough for them to dig themselves out of this hole and get themselves back to playoff contention. But it can definitely maybe spark a bit of a run that they could on because again if this team wanted to get themselves back to their expectation of making the playoffs again, they need to go on a run and we'll see whether this will do so. But for LAFC, yeah, this is definitely one of their worst performance this season. Probably actually I say it's a bad performance. It actually wasn't really as bad. It's just one of these games where we've seen it before last season and even the prior season. There's also one of these games where they just couldn't finish. And if they would have finished in this game, they probably would have got something out of this one. Though it's hard to say that they could have got a win in this one when you concede 3 goals, and 2 of those 3 goals basically came off set pieces that you concede. But that being said, moving on into the next game in Toronto and FC Dallas. So Toronto, of course, continue their incredible, surprising run this season with a 3-1 win against Dallas. And early on in the second minute, Tomasi would miss it wide from close range as the first shot for TFC did see Bernadeschi puts it just wide from close range. And I would like to say that this was the Federico Bernadeschi show. I mean, this is one of the rare time that the one of the Italian actually deliver well that is not named Lorenzo Insigne. In the 26th minute, Long puts it high from close range as Toronto was started getting control of this game and pressing for the opening goal. And then in the 38th minute, it looked like Bernadeschi did score. Problem was the flag did not agree with him, so yeah, the goal was disallowed for offside. But he did have a chance to score just 7 minutes later as a penalty was given to Toronto as Delgado brought down Osorio in the box, and instead Bernadeschi a chance to give TFC the lead. The penalty originally was saved by Martin Paz, but fortunate for Bernadeschi, it fell right back to him. He tapped it into the empty net. And yeah, that gave TFC a 1-0 lead, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. They did not waste any time to make it 2-0, and especially Federico Bernadeschi, too, because in the 53rd minute, he would score again. He scored from Osorio to make it 2-0 in favor of TFC. Junker did look to respond, but he missed wide there. After that, really not much really kind of happened in the second half. There seems like a lack of rhythm in this game. Though that being said, in the 82nd minute, Manny Longstaff would score his first career MLS goal from Bernadeschi and Spicer to make it 3-1 in favor of TFC. So Bernadeschi, one game he has involved all three goals, 2 goals and 1 assist. Too bad he's probably not going to win the Player of the Week because we probably know who's going to win the Player of the Week, and it's probably going to come from Miami once again. But in the 86th minute, Bernadeschi would go for his hattie, but he was denied by Paz. Even if he scored a hat trick, I think that he probably won't win the Player of the Week because again, the achievement that what we saw from both Messi and Suarez has done, it's gonna be hard to beat either of them winning the Player of the Week. In the 87th minute, Junko would get one back for Dallas as he scored from Ferreira and Sealy to make it 3-1 in favor of TFC. They also mentioned that Sean Johnson was very close to a milestone mark of 100 clean sheet. Didn't happen though, unfortunately, as you can see here. Though Bernadeschi still were looking for his hat trick in the 89th minute, but this time he hits it right to Paz. And in the end, TFC, they walked away with a 3-1 win over Dallas, and a bit of a rare win too, because Dallas has kind of have ownage over TFC in recent year. Not this time though. They get the win here. Toronto and the shots in this one. 13 shots for the 7 that Dallas had. 2 shots on goal for the 6 that Toronto has. 2 shots off target for the 4 that Dallas had. 1 shot that was blocked for the 6 that Toronto has. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Toronto has. And while Toronto continued to defy expectation and having an incredible season, and John Herman kind of working miracles with the team, that couldn't be more the opposite for Dallas. I mean, this team is clearly underachieving, and a head coach, Nico Estevez, that I mentioned in the hot seat because of underachieving and doesn't know some of the how to change the tactics of the team. And this was another game of it, just another poor performance on top of many poor performances that we've seen from FC Dallas this season. That being said, moving on into the last game, is a 0-0 draw in this one between the Houston Dynamo versus St. Louis City. But as we have seen before in many of these 0-0 draw this season, it's not because of lack of chances. Both teams had chances to win this one, especially Houston late in this one, having a lot of chances to get that opening goal to get all 3 points in this one. So early on, Durkin would puts it high as that was the game's first shot before Aliu would hits one right to Berkey. Mrkanic would then miss it wide from close as the shots were 2-1 for St. Louis early in this one. The possession, though, was 71-29 in favor of Houston. That's not a big surprise because St. Louis don't like to usually want to have the ball. Mikhail would hit it right to Berkey before Klaus would flash one wide from long range. Herrera would then puts it over from long range before Clark would deny Totland in the front post. Sevchenko then puts one, or he actually hits this one wide from close before Berkey would deny Schmidt from close range, and Houston was getting some sustained pressure. They were started to try to press for the opening goal, and they would have got the opening goal if it wasn't for the post denying Daniel Sturridge of a rare goal here. I mean, it's been a while since Daniel Sturridge have scored a goal, and he was very unfortunate to not have that goal drought come to an end because of the post. But we do have to have time scoreless between both of these teams in the second half. Birkin would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide. And Angel Klaus would blast this one into the stands in the 55th minute. I thought St. Louis started well in the second half and they were looking for the opening goal. And Angel Klaus tried to do a spectacular overhead kick goal here, but he puts that one high. There was a shout for a penalty for Houston that was not given in the 62nd minute before Aliu would puts it just high in the near post. We then get some coming together between both of these teams, and this won't be the only time I'll mention it in some of these games in the match week. There were some heated game in this match week as well. Blessing would then puts it high from long range in the 74th minute. Just a reminder, Latif Blessing now plays for the Houston Dynamo, even though that's kind of weird to see. considering he's been with LAFC in New England for a relatively long time, and also with TFC as well. That is, but this I also thought maybe he had 0-0 written all over it because St. Louis, they looked like they were comfortable in terms of getting a 0-0 draw, despite the fact that this would have been the seventh draw that they would have had this season if this resort hold up to this point. And Houston, they were creating chances, but none of them really kind of tested Berkey. Probably heard or probably saw what I wrote because this is when they started to press for the winning goal. Berkey would deny Artur from close range before Schmidt. Oh, he would love this one back. I mean, he was wide open into the back post and completely missed the target. But there was no doubt the Dynamo were pressing again for the opener. Durkin would pulls it wide from long range on the other end, and then Bassi would hits it right to Berkey in the 90th minute. And despite Houston effort trying to get a late winner, they don't. It ends in a 0-0 draw, but not because of lack of chances. In fact, there was a lot of shots in this one. 40 shots in total, too, combined for both teams. 24 shots for the 16 that St. Louis had. 3 shots on goal for the 10 that the Dynamo has. 4 shots, or actually 9 shots off target for both of these teams. 4 shots that was blocked for the 3 that St. Louis had, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that the Houston Dynamo has in this game. And I don't think either of these teams is going to be happy with this result. I mean, for the Dynamo, big missed opportunity to get all 3 points, and these missed chances that they had, yeah, they would love to have those missed chances back that could have got them all 3 points in this one. And St. Louis probably won't happy to get this, even though they look like they were clearly playing for a 0-0 draw. It's the 7th draw this season. So yeah, it feels like St. Louis is kind of making history again. And I even said in the preview, last season they made some good history of being the first expansion team to finish in first place in the West. Well, now this season it looks like they're gonna run for a season with a team that has the most draw in a single MLS regular season, because as we're 11 weeks in, they already have 7 draw and they are on verge and on pace of getting 24 draws this season. Yeah, that's not gonna give a lot of St. Louis fans some happy kind of memories in terms of being that team that has the most draw in a single regular or season game, and that, as I said many times before, draws does not really help you in terms of moving up the standings. Wins is what helps you in terms of moving up in the standings, and because St. Louis aren't getting those wins this season, despite they only lost once this year, that's why they're not really sitting in a very good spot right now in the Western Conference. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at all of these games from match week number 11, or at least the first 8 games, that is, because, I got to keep remembering myself, there's 2 more games that's going to be happening tomorrow to finish off match week number 11. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and also what do you think of the 8 games that I mentioned so far. And again, tomorrow I'll finish off the review looking at the last 6 games. But that's obviously is not gonna be the case until the final game between the Sounders and LA Galaxy finish tomorrow. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.